All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying tuned to PTV World. You're definitely watching World this morning. Thanks to the fantastic, amazing, stunning Shazad Khan and the very amazing Shiza Hashmi as well. Before heading out towards a short break, we actually were in conversation with the Chief Executive Officer of the Sehat Sahulat Program, or the Qawmi Sehat Card as well, which, ladies and gentlemen, is for each and every one of you. It's just that you really need to have a permanent address of this country rather than Amsterdam. Yes. Well, moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we certainly wanted to talk about how mother language is very important for each and every one of us and how it represents the culture of the nation.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about countries, that's how we kind of get to know that the kind of culture or probably the kind of identity they will have. Not just that, in addition to that, what I wanted to talk about, since it happens to be the International Mother Language Day as well, I certainly wanted to kind of talk about how countries have invested in making sure that their identity will be recognized as, or probably in relation to their languages as well. But when we talk about China, for example, or British Council, or all of these agencies who have been working for the promotion of their languages, I think that as a country, Pakistan really need to do so. Because when we talk about Pakistan within the South Asian region, we have more than 72 languages. And God forbid, if you're not going to invest in it, how do you think that we will actually have enough literature onto the shelf as well, where we will actually be, or we will be able to let our future generations at least know that, hey, you know what, that's the kind of languages we used to speak.
Absolutely. I think that was a brilliant introduction, Shazad. Language is definitely the identity, not just of a region, but of an entire generation. And imagine 100 years from now, people who are going to come, I mean, they will definitely want to wonder what their ancestors spoke. It is definitely, I mean, it's something so beautiful. It encapsulates the entire era in just few words. It's really interesting for me. And speaking of mother language, Shazad, it's not the 90s anymore that we need to talk about how to promote or conserve a language. I think we're in 2022. We need to talk about how to incorporate all the hundreds of thousands of languages in the tech firms today, or in the tech world today, the cyberspace today. That is what I want to talk about. So without any further ado, let's be introducing the guests.
All right, and before we kind of introduce the guests, ladies and gentlemen, the best part is that UNDP actually premiered a small documentary, and that too on the languages which are being spoken over here within our region as well. We are definitely thankful to them for kind of providing us that hand which we always needed. So we are actually going to share a trailer of that documentary, and once you guys will come back, we will be in conversation with the people who are making it a success in making sure that they're going to secure and make sure that they're going to bring forward all of those languages which we speak. Let's take a look.
Yeah, let's do it.
And obviously, we have a heart full of gratitude to all of these people who have kind of made it a success for Pakistanis as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we are very lucky that we've actually been joined by the resident representative of UNDP Pakistan, and he happens to be Mr. Knut Osibe. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Alaikum salam. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. And alongside him, ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've been joined by the chairperson in this cultural forum, because they partnered in making sure that this documentary is going to come to life as well. And he is Mr. Munawwar Hassan. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. First of all, I have a heart full of gratitude towards you people, because you're the ones who are making sure that you're going to kind of secure all of that historical, cultural, and when we talk about the regional perspective, and that too when it comes to or translated into language, you guys are actually the flag bearers of where you are protecting it for all of us as well. So congratulations on that in the first place. But how important do you think a mother language is for anyone or any country or any nation?
Yeah, from UNDP's side, we're coming to this from the point of view of development. And development is not something you can impose from the outside. Development is not something that goes top down. The real development is created by people themselves.
Right.
And how do people do that? once did some studies in development many years ago, and I read a book called No Development Without Culture.
Yeah.
Language is a very important part of culture. It is what makes you a person, what makes you a society, and it is a foundation for how a society can come together and decide to improve their lives, decide how they want to live. And I think that is the driving force for development.
All right,
Wow.
and so in addition to that, I'll move on to Mr. Munawar as well, where, sir, you know, when we were in conversation with Mr. Knut, and that's what he said, that, you know, it is for any nation to kind of move forward. And when we come down to languages, I think we do not have that understanding which Mr. Knut actually has of a language, and it's because of the fact that he's been working in the development sector for a longer period of time. A lot of research is backed as well.
Yeah, obviously.
But we, unfortunately, as a nation, were not really very making sure that, okay, we are going to protect what is ours. And why do you think that we kind of dismayed and not made sure that that literature is going to be available for the future generations to learn from what our ancestors did?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think very interesting question. And when I look back to this this dimension of our mother
This
language,
dilemma. Yeah.
yeah, in our country, I think there was time when this nation building was very important, and the new country carved out of this bigger subcontinent, and then at that time, it was like different ethnicities, different nationalities were living in this area, and when it became Pakistan as in 1947, so I think the top priority was a nation building. And different people should come together. So a language was needed to connect people and everyone everywhere. So at that time, maybe idea of bringing in Urdu as our national language was coined. But that didn't mean, because yes, day before somebody was telling that Quaid-e-Azam's telling that Urdu will be national language didn't mean at all that we will not be having mother languages in the country.
Okay.
So I think this was little bit misinterpreted by the people later. He couldn't, Quaid-e-Azam couldn't get much time to shape the nation that he wanted to be. So maybe that was the, and I think this is the time when world is coming up with more explanation of this, and we are also understanding different dimensions, and now we have started looking into the beauty of diversity actually. There was a time when we thought we should be just building one nation, but now we feel one nation can be built when people will own it, and ownership comes when the land or the state will give importance to your identity, which is your culture,
My
language,
cultural background, yes. my
cultural
heritage,
background.
yes.
So I think this is like we have to now improve our understanding and think in a way that giving importance and respect to people's languages and dialects and their cultures will bring them closer to each other, and together I think they will be part of the development process of this country. Yeah.
Wow, that's a wonderful
And that's
thought
the dream,
process.
definitely, and
That
that's
is the
absolutely
dream, yeah.
beautiful. But you know, more than 30% of people all around the world do not have access to their own mother language or their local language in official spaces or in education systems. How disturbing might that be? Imagine, Shahzad, if my child was living in a Punjabi small region, if I were living right there, and then they had to go to a school where they weren't teaching, or they didn't have textbooks in Punjabi or Urdu for that matter. I mean, it's definitely disturbing. But like you said, development is now on the way, and that is because the notion or the paradigm of unilateralism is being challenged. Multilingualism is actually multilateralism, or pluralism for that matter. UNDP also says so. So why don't, UNESCO as well, so why don't you let us know how can we realize that in our official and cyberspaces right now?
Yeah, you mentioned multilateralism,
Yes.
and I also wanted to mention the example of how the United Nations work. We have 193 member countries,
Yeah.
and that is the strength. The strength is diversity among these countries. They have one vote each in the General Assembly, and when they come together and want to do something, it's extremely powerful. And we are concerned about development. We are concerned about the Sustainable Development Goals that all countries set as goals for 2030, including Pakistan, and we are concerned with leaving no one behind.
Yeah.
And there we come to your point. We do need for each and every community to be recognized. Today there are big differences between the poorest and the richest in Pakistan, as well as in many other countries in Asia and other parts of the world. And those differences do not have to be there.
Right.
There are ways that you can bring people on board from the poor segment of the country to not only to have their fair share, but also to contribute to national development. And if you can bring everybody on board to contribute, and you have 220 million people in Pakistan, to the power of all these people working together and using opportunities to contribute to national development is immense.
True.
And as you said, the cyberspace, the electronic media will be a part of this. I do not have a formula for exactly how you can represent all languages
Okay.
on electronic platforms. But I do agree with you. We need to work towards that. I think cyberspace has come a long way, though.
Yeah, definitely.
When I
definitely.
started learning about computers a long time ago, there was not that language diversity. There was not even the alphabet diversity. And,
Yeah.
and we have that now, and a lot more can be done. Computers can use a lot of languages, so why not use that capability that computers give us?
Exactly. And sir, in addition
And
to
it's
that,
so
sir-
interesting. Siri now has accents as well.
Exactly.
How interesting is
Yeah,
that?
and not just that, I think Siri actually comes in two voices as well. Either you can pick up for female or male as well. So,
Of
so
course.
whatever accent and then whatever tone of the voice as well. But so I'll make it more simpler for you, because where you said that you might not even have the exact formula as of now, but since UNDP and the partner organizations are working together to kind of pave that way towards technology, or how technology will be using, or how we will be using technology in order to kind of be multilingual and its effectiveness. So this year around, sir, the theme for the International Mother Language Day is using technology for multilingual learning as well, and that to opportunities and challenges. So what opportunities? That's something I will ask from you, and what challenges is something I'll ask you. So please, opportunities.
Well, I think some of the opportunities are demonstrated in some of the things we have already been doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like Easy Paisa or this electronic money.
Yep.
We have one of the biggest constraints to development is for people not to get bank accounts, for people not to be able to be part of the formal economy
Banking system.
in rural and remote areas. And these systems are bringing people on board to do this. So this is perhaps a place to start. Pakistan has launched this, the Prime Minister has launched a Digital Pakistan
Yep.
initiative, and we are helping in a small way from our side also in different parts of government to make that a reality. I think the main aspect in that is to reach the people who have not yet been reached. There are people who do not, many people who don't yet have a smartphone. There are people who do not, as I said, have a bank account. There are
So these are the challenges
Yes.
most probably.
and this is not only a question of the cost of the device, it's also a question about knowledge, information, and willingness to open up to people, to share in these services. So I think that is the place to invest. It's in the outreach to make sure that the electronic services that are quite advanced in Pakistan
And are
already,
accessible to everyone.
they are known and then accessible to everyone.
Wow, wonderful. So any further challenges you want to kind of contribute towards, Mr.
Yeah,
Knut
thank you very
Oscar?
much. I think on the opportunity side, sorry,
Yes.
maybe
ahead.
adding to what Mr. Knut said, this is 20 million people's country, and if we say 60%, 65 to 70% population is adult population, then I think out of them 100 million people or more have access to smartphones or mobile phones per se, not smartphones,
Yeah.
obviously. But in that case, means people are aware of technology, the increasing use of digital technology in this world. So now the issue is their outreach, number one. Number two is, I mean, how people can use it more positively for their own purposes and development processes.
Yeah.
So Mr. Knut already indicated to some schemes that government has launched and people are taking advantage of it. But I think for the learning purposes, what challenge that we have seen during this COVID period, I think when government wanted to reach out to the children or through online learning or distant learning, and that was
It did work out.
it didn't work out that successfully.
Yeah.
Actually, they tried, and think this is the time that the entire world actually struggled. People were not teachers were not ready to teach in this modality. The students were not accustomed to it. Muting the teacher was very easy at that time. So I think So I think these were the dilemmas that we, I think, went through. But as we move forward, I think this is the way forward, that we have to couple. I think it should not be only face to face and only online, but it should be online and face to face both, so that technology has its say. Number two is the tools. Actually, technology can give us so many tools that we can use for learning of our future generations, and that is the way where mother language is important for technology and mother language,
even
to
for
teach
understanding,
to speak to each other. Actually, if we only focused on the tools in English or per se Urdu or the dominant languages of the like French or Spanish or other, I think we need to also focus how we can improve this learning process in our mother languages in Pakistan, which are, for example, when I read the international literature, they say 13% of people speak in Pakistan speak this language, and when they say, but this is in number is huge, and they say these many million people. So the reader said, wow, this is like a substantial number.
Exactly, and it's wonderful. So thank you very much, Mr. Munawar, for being with us, and thank you very much, Mr. Knut Osby, for being with us and for taking out time and to contributing towards saving our national heritage. Thank you very much for doing so.
Thanks.
And we are highly grateful, and we are highly indebted as well from the kind gesture, because the documentary is out, ladies and gentlemen. It's been translated into 22 other languages as well, for your better understanding, for our better understanding. And since this is a very global sphere these days we are living in, so everybody needs to know the language to communicate, because we're reaching out to millions and billions of people these days.
Absolutely. Ignorance in this is definitely not bliss, so educate yourself about your own languages and about others as well. I mean, why not? It is, like you said, it's a global issue now. Let's face it together. Be proud of your language, whatever it is today, especially today, of your mother language, where you live in, the language of your household as well, the language that your parents speak, your grandparents speak it. Be proud of it. Till the next time. Till the next time, take care. Good morning. And I want you to actually go out in your mother language. You want to say bye?
और भाईजान अपना ख्याल रखो, फिर मिलेंगे इंशाल्लाह कल दोबारा. ठीक है, रब रखा. Allah Hafiz. Good morning. Yeah.